sitting at the program as the BO administration go 4-year April 4 this year. Radio Democracy continue for look at different sector them and how this administration don't able for do waiting the inside the New Direction manifesto where President BO been used for Kamna power in 2018. Well, today we tell us we can look at how the fight against corruption don't sound like inside the past 4 years as per waiting the inside the New Direction manifesto when I promise them where President BO been used for Kamna power. And we look at the fight against corruption today because the New Direction manifesto as per them promise they make that manifesto in 2018, they may talk say the New Direction SLPP government go treat corruption not only as governance issue but as national security threat. And because of that, the New Direction manifesto highlights 15 points them way according to the manifesto promising that the thing and the way the SLPP government been say they go want for do inside them 5-year tenure na office. Well, that will take 4 years in office on the 4th of April this year. Today we can look at corruption, and among the 15 points them where the New Direction be highlighted, say them go one for do in terms of the fight against corruption as salon. Key among them, we get the first one where then say them go review within the first 100 days. The SEC Act will go include publication of all asset declaration from them of public official them before then they take up office and when they left office. The next point say them go commit political leadership for lead the fight against corruption, review the relevant provision them na the Constitution of Sierra Leone, the 1991 Constitution, including Section 119 in particular, where they say the SEC Act and go gang for let the SEC before investigate and prosecute as part of their mandate, and also for let them go able for do them work where it can audit service and reports and we can come out when they can table in parliament. They will say they give power to the SEC for go ahead and do their own work whilst parliament self go to do their own investigation. Well, so many other things in the assassin 15 points them the SLPP New Direction manifesto say they go do pan the fight against corruption. Well, now that makes today we can look at how far this fight against corruption don't go inside the past 4 years. I want to welcome to the studio this morning with studio guests them where they can help we look at the fight against corruption inside 4-year Pandibio administration. First, I introduce the person from the Anti-Corruption Commission, Wena Patrick Sandy, the Director of Public Education and Outreach at the ACC. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning, Radio Democracy, listeners and viewers on Facebook. Good morning to all.
Well, Patrick Sandy, they are from the ACC because the Anti-Corruption Commission, as you know by now, the independent institution that one the government set up for ensure say they lead the fight against corruption because then for help for prevent, investigate, prosecute, and say for punish people and more than go find guilty, say then commit corrupt practice them. Well, now that make it there for council, we waiting the commission don't do inside the past 4 years, and also we get we go call and say now the watch now the people advocates and now they serve as the watchdog now the studio this morning. When a lawyer Rashid Dubuya, he come out na legal link. They don't put more span different in the advocates for people for ensure say promise them where government then can make when they come na power. They keep up to them promise then at the end of the tenure na office. Well, today we can look at corruption. I believe students have done the monitor different things them we don't happen by the fight against corruption. And today instead we can talk on behalf of the people of Sierra Leone. How then things say the fight against corruption don't sound like inside the past 4 years. Good morning and welcome to the program, Rashid.
Good morning, people in Sierra Leone, and good morning 98.1. I'm glad you invited me here today. I'm grateful.
All right, so we'll come back to you just now. Let me just go over to the Anti-Corruption Commission because now then directly Tina before the fight against corruption. Let Patrick Sandy start for tell listeners them inside the past 4 years because we the crown up say now for you because we just get few weeks to President BO administration for let them 4 years and a power and we want to take them from there. Let just tell listeners them first how you go describe the fight against corruption because now una they lead the fight. How you go describe them for listeners them inside the past 4 years?
Thank you very much. I go honestly describe the fight against corruption to have been largely successful in the past 4 years, we you mentioned. And also I go say that the Anti-Corruption Commission, we are the lead agency, don't get what it takes from the leadership of this country by way of support for let we do we work independently and fairly. So all of these, as they say, are supported or informed by data and statistics. So when His Excellency the President take over the reins of administration of this country, we all know he declare a war on corruption. And as you say, then get manifesto commitments. But with the appointment of Francis Benkai-Fala as the head of the institution, we see a lot of vigor being put into the fight against corruption. Because when he came in, it became very clear that the fight against corruption, therefore, take a radical transformative approach. And as such, we started moving on as a commission, as an institution. You mentioned the legislative reforms, the amendment we taken at Parliament, and a lot of things we introduced into the fight against corruption by way of the amendment. So the legislature, civil society organizations, the media, they support we in that regard. And at the end of the day, we get the amendment, we further strengthen the fight against corruption and the powers of the ACC. Well, just to highlight a few, inside the amendment, we see how we increase the penalties. Initially, in the 2008 Amendment, Anti-Corruption Act, we get a fine of not less than 30 million leones, or you go to jail not less than 3 years if you are convicted. Now, we up to not less than 50 million, and then not less than 5 years. Also, we get what we call restitution, because before this time, we people then they say that the thief 100 million, then go, then they ask them for pay 30 million. The amendment also emphasized and make it mandatory that if you thief money, then convict you, say don't thief that money with a misappropriation. You for pay the restitution aside from the fine. Then also that reform introduced the Special Anti-Corruption Division with dedicated judges, where today we get special registry, we cases them, they go on as fast as possible. Unlike the past, where they be the clog behind other cases. So that is just one aspect, because the reforms, a lot happen. And I will just say also the asset declaration process, not to go into detail. We also reform, maybe as we go to discussion, because we for do that. Then also we see how we don't do very well in terms of national and international corruption perception indexes or ratings. All of these are found for say now as a result of the work we don't put into the fight against corruption. Starting off from 2017, if we look at the Transparency International Corruption Perception Index, we in a TI the Pulam, an annual survey we did conduct. This country don't improve significantly from that period to date. For instance, we've been there at 130 with a score of 30. We moved to 129 in 2019. We did 119. 2020 we did 117, and then 2021 we did 115. So we have moved or jumped 15 places upwards. That is just one of the indexes we don't mention. Yes, come in.
We can't look at the indexes. Then, but look at the strive way you don't mention. See, the Anti-Corruption Commission don't take for fight corruption. And you make mention of structural adjustments them, and you talk about fines and other punishment them after we corruption go down happen. What are the preventive mechanisms them inside the structural adjustments for prevent corruption not for happen?
Yeah, thank you very much, because that is all listed down in the interventions where, as I say, we will introduce now the ACC. In fact, if you look at the preventive approach, we have a department, now the ACC, called the Prevention Department. And you see, prevention is so key in the fight against corruption, because as Denkin say, prevention is better than cure. That is a saying we don't hear it from time immemorial. So the commission also puts a lot of emphasis on prevention. So with department they, and waiting essentially the prevention department they do. Now, then they go into what we call systems, or into institutions, public sector institutions. They review the practices and procedures the processes and identify the loopholes or gaps, what we call vulnerabilities, opportunities for corruption, and then profile recommendations with a view to addressing those issues where they lead to corruption. So systems and processes are very key. So prevention department, they do this. And over the period, for the 4 years, we have done systems review in about 20 MDAs, and we do thematic reviews. Recently, we done complete review on the water sector. We look at Goma Valley, we look at Salwako, we look at even the agency we're responsible for the management of water in this country. And waiting make we do this, as I say initially, these are service providing institutions, and it's very important that in the course of providing services, the processes, the procedures are clear enough so that at least anybody going to access the service no will get any challenge. So that is key. And we don't also do other interventions in the Ministry of Social Welfare by way of systems review. So there's a preventive approach. But again, we have another aspect to it. We're in the National Anti-Corruption Strategy. We also get, if you like, a preventive flavor. Is also another aspect where they look at structural issues within MDAs, where we get IMCs established, integrity management committees, with the responsibility for work with management of those sectors or those institutions, with the key anti-corruption issues where we don't identify.
So corruption,
we therefore handle internally, because this is not like an owned effort, that they own the fight, and deal with those issues, and we monitor them on a quarterly basis. Those where they perform, we will give them kudos. Those where not they perform, we also take them to task. And currently, as we talk, the Secretariat, we the National Anti-Corruption Strategy Secretariat, don't they meet with the low-performing MDAs, and also those who perform high, and even for those who perform low, learn from those high-performing institutions. And let us lastly mention on this, that we get a steering committee. We sit in the office of the Vice President. We also work with the Secretariat for ensure implementation of the strategy. It's a 5-year strategy.
Corruption can always fight back, in as much as the institutions where they in charge for fight can they put modalities in place and systems for ensure say corrupt practice not occur. People who want for involved in that can always find their own way for beat the system. You want for safely say inside the past 4 years, the Anti-Corruption Commission on a preventive department, on not able for prevent corruption at government institutions them?
Well, what I go say basically is they prevent with a view for it not happening. But as you say, if in any case it happened, we are still having reports of MDAs where we don't review.
But the prevention departments,
we succeed largely. But what I'm saying is you can still have incidents of corruption happening within MDAs. We now go bring in the investigations. For instance, we looked at the SLMA by way of a review. But after the review, we did the presentation of the report. And we now got another report of corruption. So you can do a review, you can do prevention work, but that does not mean an incidence of corruption will come. And if it comes, means because we've done a review and, for instance, the MDAs are working on those recommendations, anything coming, you don't investigate. You investigate based on the allegation, the elements of corruption where they need, and if need be, you can charge to court where, as I say, meet the threshold where need be.
I come to lawyer Rashid Dumbuya. Lawyer Rashid, you don't listen to Patrick Sandi, we don't give a young take on the structural adjustment to the Anti-Corruption Commission don't make inside the fight against corruption. Before we come to specifics, let's look at generally the adjustments them we don't happen at the Anti-Corruption Commission and how effective then they to you take.
All right, so I'm glad for there. At point one, I thank you for the invitation. I'm happy also for share the platform with me, brother, and we all are anti-graft fighters. And this topic, I'm sure we will do justice to them in good faith. And are there also for represent the civil society, community, and of course the people of Sierra Leone, by extension. And also are there as an expert, possibly to work in the ACC. So I get a lot of wealth of experience for talk about this subject. So I tell you, thank you when I invite me. The last start with a brief historical background on this ACC, and then perhaps I will come to your question. In 1996, Sierra Leone witnessed the first democratic multi-party elections, and Tijan Kaba, may so rest in peace, emerged as the president. And because he don't get that, international, background and experience. So in 2000, me quick for pass, the Anti-Corruption Act, because say law is very important in the fight against corruption. And in 2004, we get the TRC. And the TRC talk about the ACC really, but not talk about for say establishment anymore, because ACC was established even before the TRC. So it's talk about for strengthening the ACC and also for help them so that it would be effective in work for fight corruption in the country. And so we get election in 2007, and then of course we get a new government. 2008, His Excellency the former president and his by Kurma may see need for strengthening the ACC as recommended by the TRC Commission. And so in 2008 we get a very robust law where repeal the 2000 Act, and we give the ACC prosecutorial powers for the very first time for go after corrupt people independently. And of course in 2019, fast forward, we get also another amendment under the BO regime, President BO regime, where also don't help greatly in adding the powers of the ACC in the fight against corruption. So if you see all the three presidents there, they all don't do well in terms of creating the enabling framework for make this commission be effective in the fight against corruption. And so my presentation here today, I want to make them in a very concise way. I want to look at the successes so far and perhaps the challenges, and then make recommendations. So if you allow me, sorry for doing that today.
So as they look at that, because we focus today on especially the BO administration,
yes,
how far they don't go on the feds. Like I've been saying earlier na the New Direction manifesto, then they say they go take corruption not only as governance issue, but as a national security threat.
Yes.
We don't see this don't happen for 4 years now in our office. They don't take them that serious.
All right, so me general answer would be it has been a mixed baggage.
Why you say
there are
so?
some successes and there are of course challenges as well. I say so because when you evaluate the fight against corruption under the New Direction regime, you will find out they make some successes so far. I mean, if we are looking at the 4 years tenure, and of course there have been also very many challenges. So my whole Naya partner will tell you the good thing them when they succeed for do, and of course the challenges them were still prevalent. So make a start. Yes.
Go ahead.
The first the 2019 amendments, then they wait for clap for this regime, when they do that great amendments, it carried so much additional powers to the commission, and in fact, the commission get power now for even stop a contract. For example, if even contract don't be passed, and in the opinion of the commissioner, if I say this contract, when they don't pass, so it get tendency for create problem, it can even kind of cut and stop them. So now proactive amendment, 2019 amendments don't enable the commission to get much more zest in the fight against corruption. So that's a good thing and a pass for this government. The cut on corruption, very important. That thing where I'm today, we talk about this thing, so one time, but it not may happen during the era. But under the era of President BO, and of course, the new commissioner, Kefala, we don't get today a special cut on corruption, and that cut today help greatly in the fight against corruption in terms of speed, judgment, and also, of course, looking at cases specifically. The recovery rate, we don't go. Don't this talk when we talk about the recoveries. Many monies have been recovered. We don't see the checks the way don't be displayed openly by the commissioner and the president. They bluff everybody in Sierra Leone, say yes, we are recovering greatly, and that is something we should thank them for. They also don't prosecute a lot of cases and also don't win a lot of cases. So there is also a great success in the prosecution rate and also success rate in terms of the prosecution. That is also good. Like also my brother rightly mentioned, good international, regional, and domestic rankings. All right, the barometer report, the Transparency International report, and even domestic, reports them as the country don't show say the commission, they do well in this fight, and that's something we should thank them also for. And the biggest success way, perhaps for Senaya openly, now the fact that they don't win the MCC scorecard. All right, the money don't reach it really, but you don't win them, and they are working towards everything now for make that money they can as alone. That is that's the highest you can go in terms of the MCC ranking. If you will win the scorecard, we don't win the threshold, but not win the scorecard. Now this government don't win the MCC scorecard, we have to say it and we have to give them that credit. And it means many things have been done in terms of the fight against corruption. So in terms of the successes, I will be bold for say some of anything there so now a pass and I think they will forgive the government, kudos for and the commission. Because it's not really easy for letting it happen. But in this era, it don't happen. So quickly, perhaps I will talk a little on the challenges.
So as you go on the challenges,
Yes.
and now for you really talk like somebody with working at the anti-corruption
Yes.
commission. But as you highlight the challenges, and now for you, the anti-corruption, the success, and as you go into the challenges, and the success exceed that of the challenges that we can talk about.
So maybe in my analysis, by the time I'm done, that answer the question will be answered. So I now for answer now before I talk on the challenges. All right. So like I say, I don't mention the successes now. I want to go to the challenges. And the first thing I want to emphasize now, so where perhaps the ACC, and I hope the ACC they listen to me and the commission they listen to me, because this is also an opportunity for talk to them. Me now one of them, and I see myself as a part of them, and I like the work they do. So I'm doing this in good faith because I know say the relevance of the commission. We're not able to overemphasize them. Important ACC in the country, and then work in they do. Nobody not able to do that kind of work in this country. And if it's not there for one day, I'm telling you, we are going down as a nation. So this critique way are they get today, not to for make them feel bad. Now I pray they will take in good faith and they will work on them for become better institution down the line. So the first challenge now, selective justice. That one day with the CM and a team way, I don't write them on say the need for work on that day. For example, I will give you just a few examples. Now there's a case where they open against the former president, and it's by Koroma. We all know that case in the investigation process. But then you see say some cases they open later on, when don't close, but yet some cases they still open. So no matter how you talk, somebody go feel say something is not right here. For example, the first lady in case can later, but it has been closed. So when you're dealing with two key people in the government or in the high authority places, you have to be very careful and sensitive. If you start that investigation, they close them as much as possible. If they charge. If you don't see evidence, come out and say, I don't see evidence. But if you keep them open, then see one day where you carry it, where you investigate later, then they all long close. Possible most think say this is not correct. So the perception of selective justice, they have to fight against that. And that is one thing where I will indict on. Secondly, now the issue of open confrontation with whistleblowers. Now I don't see one day at Cizo, I almost they say, what did they go on so? We like Africanist press, but Africanist press don't make a lot of open, secret, and open, transparent investigations where perhaps the ACC go down, perhaps see sense in coming in. So if you they altercate with that kind of person in your institution, then person not go glad with you, especially we get that desire, but say no corruption for stop in this country. African Express they expose a lot of things. You may not like him, but look at what they say and open an investigation and look at the things there. The issue of Tawa, much was not done in Potent Tawa. Honorable Tawa make a lot of things on Parliament, but we did not see much of the protection by the ACC to keep him as somebody who is a whistleblower. And it go through a lot in the Parliament, and not much was seen in protecting him. And that is go to discourage many people to come out next time for even say something on corruption. Because they will say, they will left me tomorrow in the dry line and then deal with me and nobody to talk for me. So whistleblower confrontation, that should stop. It is not the right way. When somebody blow the whistle, protect them. Because from that you can get information to pursue corruption. Reluctance to prosecute case that has to do with public interest matters. The Rice Saga, the Chinese Rice Saga case. This is now one case where ACC go want ACC for a long time. And I've said it, that it was a wrong decision not to prosecute that case. Okay, the reason was the judge not allow for a fiat for by judge alone. All right, the AG. Now the AG not the day again. No. We don't get two different AGs now. So if it was really the AG that was an obstacle, why will we not prosecute now? Not to a bar now, the charge the matter. So it's not a bar. So that case was a public interest matter. To not prosecute, and we see that minister there we see the person now turn to a minister, that is something that would be a travesty. No matter how you talk, na team way, because na public interest matter, na arrest and say for Sierra Leoneans. You cannot joke with that kind of case where there's an outright problem in distribution of that rice for the people of Sierra Leone. So maybe I go rest here, I get more for say on these issues, but some of them things also we need for say them in good faith so that the institution will grow and it will be better down the line.
Come over to Patrick Sunday from the Anti-Corruption Commission. Earlier, we've been listening to waiting Rashid Doumbouya been on talk, but the success and challenges them where the ACC don't go through according to legal link inside the past 4 years, waiting them don't observe so far. And at the take from there, they come over to you, Patrick Sunday. Let we look at some of the issues that may come up from waiting Rashid Doumbouya been on talk. And key among them, we talk about selective justice. Also, I make mention of the former President Nkrumah in case. You can give updates on that. They also make mention of confrontation with whistleblowers them and also protection for whistleblowers them, and also it talk about refusal for prosecute case we get for do with high public interest. We make mention of the Chinese arrests. But let me just start from the side where it been starts where it begins to talk about una challenges them way don't not say they happen so far under the fight against corruption, because most times they can say sometimes you were there inside they do the work, no waiting people and the experience.
That's true. I have been an investigator before. I joined the ECC as an investigator. I know what it means to investigate. So firstly, let me establish by your own indication, the issue of the president and the first lady, they are completely different. And investigations in terms of timelines, they are always different in nature. It not mean say because a matter has been reported first to the ACC, that has to be concluded.
But corruption, not corruption.
No, not corruption, maybe, but I did tell you now about investigation. Investigation, you get large-scale investigation, you know what you look for and what it takes, forget what you want before you proceed or do anything.
So let's
we have to understand
this case.
No,
we will not see it. We make it take so long.
No, let me at the calm, if you give me opportunity, then we all go able to understand better. What did I say in effect? The issue of the first lady came up. It was a probe. What do I mean by probe? The audit report came out, though again the issue of Africanness was about it. I will address that in the second part. The audit report came out, and there was issue about the office of the first lady not being a public office. It received funds from the consolidated fund. So waiting essentially that investigation or probe, even to be very much technical, waiting will be try for get from that probe. Now for really know the regulatory and legal framework around the office of the First Lady. Why I'm saying so? Because that is simpler, so to speak, to do than when you are investigating a former head of state and you have 18 different issues to look at. It is quite different. And those are also widespread. You understand? And you also follow the kinds of issues went through. So at this stage, the investigation has been concluded by what update on the investigation regarding the former president. It is with the prosecutors. My brother too has been a prosecutor. He's still a lawyer. He knows what it means. The prosecutors, listen at the camp. The prosecutors have to look at every bit of detail. Because when you say you move in any direction, if for instance you are saying let us go to court, you have been satisfied. We can say prosecutorial threshold. Or you are ending that matter, or you are doing this, you are doing that. It has to be properly informed by law. So we are at the stage of the prosecution. It is with the director of prosecution and the team, they are working on it.
So it
don't mean any selective justice.
As in the work on them, it's possible for the bio-led administration, the ACC under the bio-led administration, conclude and done pata with the former President Nkrumah in case?
Oh, yes. There's no intention to hold it on forever. I want to let we know this. We know, say, the public are also looking up to the ACC, but we also therefore do with duty, professionally and thoroughly.
So in as much as now they look at them professionally and thoroughly, you make mention of the case we get for do with the First Lady and the delay where people don't see on the matter we get for do with former President Nkrumah. In terms of priorities, how the ACC they prioritize cases them we wanna they look into for ensure say on a done quick as public interest can so much high in some of them cases here.
You see, we get to understand. I don't tell you say we get to look at the nature of the matter. the nature and what is involved in it. You may have a lot of things you go get boku thing for look at. It no mean say now because within yourself if you say now this are for done tomorrow. But we get for send out notices. You get for also talk to people. You get for also examine documents. Maybe it's not easy as we talk am. So therefore, it not mean say ACC they particularly choose this case say no let we keep this or let we hurry up with this and done am so that the public will see this. That's what I am saying. We still have cases na the ACC where they don't report far back. We had the issue of the China issue about Ebola funds. That also it had come way before. But because of the nature of it, we're not just able to run through and conclude that because the public will want to say, what have you done with it? So I wonder we understand this. Investigations are by their different nature in terms of what is it you want, what is it that you have achieved or you've got, and then where do you go? So that is why I say the First Lady's issue now be a probe, we not been just for established, and we come out and tell the people then. On the aspect of the president, it was a full-blown, full-scale investigation, well detailed. And so at this stage, we deal with the prosecutors and we wait for them for come back and tell we waiting at the status and where do
what is the difference between a probe for make anti-corruption look at a case as a probe or full-scale investigation?
A probe, my brother, is just to establish a few things which will lead you into something.
So in the First Lady case, it's a probe.
Now they say
the
probe now be for firstly, as I be don't say, the audit report highlight the office of the First Lady. They receive money from the public funds, and then they say not to a public office, so you know for receiver. So we wanted to establish. We want for establish first. Waiting at the regulatory and legal framework we they for let the first to get this money because not to in normal for the first time begin get money from public funds. If we don't see and say, for instance, there was no regulatory framework, the constitution not being make any provision, then you go say now the fact that if they receive money, you go deeper into knowing what you do with the money and why they began the money.
Earlier before we go for that break, you been make your point, and you been give the difference between probe and investigation. And I ask you in the First Lady case, you say na probe. For the probe now, we say we did in that situation and which one have not na the probe.
Yes, I say we do a public a press release.
For
on that. No,
I
I just want for let them know say we don't do that. I'm coming to explain it. I don't get a problem with that. But let them know say we be do a press release for inform them as we do in all other cases that we don't conclude the probe. And basically, as I've been saying before, a probe have been just for establish something at the very initial stage. Then it will now give you a cause for go beyond. If what exactly you wanted, go give the cause for let you go beyond. So we concluded the probe. And the probe came out for state clearly that the First Lady now, the office of the First Lady now, not only at the first time where they receive money from the Consolidated Fund. And in addition, yes, previous First Lady, as in the case of the wife of the former president, Sianyama Kroma, received funds for go out on medical and do other programs instead of being getting your own program as in the hands of our guards, instead of being getting your own program, I think they call it Wish. Then also, there's a provision within the Constitution, the Public Financial Management Act, where give provision to the Minister of Finance that it will allocate some amount, some percentage of money within the budget to any good cause or good reason. And the Minister of Finance may make it very clear that that appropriation, that money where they give was under that rubric within the Public Financial Management Act. So that's some of the findings we come up with. So in effect, we've been done established now saying
because
the office of the First Lady receive funds from the public, from the consolidated fund, from public funds.
So
and there's nothing wrong with
legal.
it. That's what I'm saying. There's nothing wrong with it.
So for the ACC, we'll be done with that particular case. But back to the issue of the former president, in issue where up till now, we are not able to get our conclusion because you said in the prosecution team then desk now, we have done the investigation. So from the 18 files and the way it's be open against former presidents come out from the investigation, it gets questions for answers still in terms of alleged corruption.
Maybe you want me for say you get questions for answer?
From the investigation, we don't conclude.
Let us wait for the prosecution for let them look at them and get back to the public. But insofar the ACC being in concern, Now, the fact that, listen, if firstly we get questions for answer, that is the first thing. Now, we call them in.
But when the investigation
we don't ask them those questions, the investigation don't complete. Now the prosecution department, they watch the evidence where they as against waiting at the allegation and see what thing we go do. If it meet threshold, if we dey go court, or we are using another route.
How long that will get for take? How long did it take?
Maybe I don't tell you say. I not go tell you say na tomorrow. The prosecution department, now people
so they don't get time frame and then work, then can just get assignments to look into this, whether they take forever or not, no, then they just look into them.
No, listen, let us get it clear. We get for give people them the opportunity and the latitude for do their work.
So what's not the latitude in this case? How long then supposed
the latitude now that let them do a very thorough job and get back to you with the result.
But they not get time frame.
Well, so far me no. I don't think they have been given a time frame. But I'm pretty sure that now a matter where everybody knows say the people of this country are looking forward to. The person we involved, of course we know now a very high personality, of high repute, of high respect. So not to think where anybody go joke with it. But let us understand it that way, that not to the position of the commission for just hold on it because it won't hold on her, or because of some selectivity. At that point, I want let we take off with mind and let we know say we owe it to the people of this country for let we do a professional work. And when we come out to them, let them know say yes, this is not anything you can class as a witch hunt or whatever.
Other concern will come up from Rashid in submission gets for do with protection of whistleblowers, and because if me were to go tell the ACC say they suspect say corruption, then if I don't go investigate, not they feel secured. I they wonder how cooperative the public will be in terms of leading on to some of the alleged corruption are waking up in different institutions. What's what's the system that they use for protecting our whistleblowers?
You see, we don't recently put out a public notice on reward scheme, and we make them very clear. The Anti-Corruption Commission, they protect informants and whistleblowers, and we even get within the ACC the witness protection policy, or a policy on witness and whistleblower protection. So basically, waiting now we need for know first. Wouldn't a whistleblower? And how the whistleblower they relate with the ACC. That is very key. Because in terms of even providing protection, maybe we get for understand now. You not go don't expose yourself, for instance, if it has to come with the aspect of protecting you from physical attack or other forms of reprisal. Because it's a delicate job that you are doing. So if you're not a whistleblower, you get an information, you put on a social media, then you want ACC for protect you. How? However, what we do in the case specific to Africanist, because now one of the persons we discuss, most of the issues they come up, ACC don't already start for looking to. This issue of the First Lady, it been then at the audit report. ACC don't start for looking to them. Not to always when we begin for looking to case, we just get for begin for shout about it. Because there's always a danger with it. So you also will talk about issue around the First Lady, okay, the Chancery issue. It could put them out. But ACC don't already begin for also look at them. But even with that, we also look at and say the information they provide will be helpful. But the whistleblower, not they work with the ACC. Rather, if they put out the information and begin again for come after the ACC with it.
It make direct instance of vulnerable to our
So therefore, I'm coming to that aspect.
And now how can they protect them in that particular aspect? We been blow that whistle in Parliament.
Oh, no, yeah. Now 98.1.
Yeah, for issue we get for do with Parliament.
Exactly,
I mean.
but not to Parliament. Yeah.
Yeah, it blow the whistle, but it gets for do with Parliament.
But let me come. The issue about Africa, I had to tell you so. A whistleblower, we also understand you get your responsibilities and you also get your rights. So, working with the institution you provide information for, I feel say will be very, very important. So now in the case of the Africanists, we see how the people will bring this information and that. I want to assure people that when they listen to me, that the ACC they provide protection for whistleblowers, and we don't do one before. In fact, now they act for say anybody will give you information for protect them. And we also get the aspect of even anonymity. But in these cases, people already have their veil out. So basically, no need for hide. So let them be rest assured. But a whistleblower should be somebody where firstly, they bring cogent information, and the information where they bring out are ready for support the ACC for let we comb through the issues. Not to again appear as if ACC is not doing anything about my report and as if they are supporting a particular thing.
Whistleblowers them waiting in the tell una for arrive at conclusion. We take parliaments for instance. We Paran and Tawa na this radio been revealed something them way people think say the ACC for don't use for investigate happenings na parliaments, but till now we not get anything like that.
Musa, this is interesting. You don't interview me on some of the outcomes of the investigations. I don't do a lot of radio discussion programs on the conclusions on their matters here. With specific reference to this one, Honorable Tawa and Honorable Param. When they begin at this studio, allegations, counter-allegations, they come. The ACC put out a press release where they go into the issues. And we completed that investigations. In fact, we did a thorough investigation on different issues on the House of Parliament. Not only with those where they allege Naya. And when we completed that investigation, when we concluded, we also come out with a press release on every aspect where we don't look at within Parliament in terms of the impress account, in terms of constituency development fund, because those were the critical issues where they been mentioned here, where they say they give. And at that stage, Tawa mentioned this, Param mentioned this. Where was the protection? We work with Tawa for giving additional information on waiting it been said here.
As much as they go na information, I be also care about waiting if they go through na parliament at that time because of that disclosure they be make.
Whether we protect them from waiting they go through na parliament.
Yes.
But we don't know whether as a result of that, waiting you talk na yeah. Because listen, let me tell you, because as a commission, we look at and say, Tawa there, they bring out issues. Param there, they bring out issues. Parliament can go after Tawa and not go after Param. We as a commission, we say, waiting at the issue where they raise, that way they look into. We never knew whether it had link with whatever he had said here.
All right.
Then equally, let me also mention this. On the aspect where people, they say whistleblower this. Some people can say something here, then go to the ACC. They're not going to go say anything more. It happened in the case of Honorable Gevao too.
All right, continue
so
for
let us always be very careful in how we get for define people as a whistleblower and the relationship with the institution where they provide the information for. It is critical. Otherwise, then we are missing the point. Or we need for redefine who a whistleblower is.
We come to Rashid Doumbia from Legal Link. Down the inside the program, they give a own view as to how the fight against corruption like under President Bill for 4-year rule or 4-year regime. Or for your governance. Rashid Doumbia, we round up the program now. You don't talk about the issues and we don't find out the successes and the challenges. At this moment, what do you think say not the way forward?
Yes. So I don't me get much time for finish the challenges. Maybe I will add one or two and then I give me closing. Also ACC for look at the issue of adopting a human rights approach in the fight. Of course, we all see the mistake what may happen the last time for parade people in the street and all of that before they even prosecute them. That one they may wrong, and I think we are not see the dollar from going forward. And of course, the other issue where unique where they see now a new thing what they see in ICC, and I think say for stop. Now the fact that most time before they even opening an investigation, and they like the example. Now, in the example of the First Lady, I mean. The complaint come up on this whole thing about utilizing public funds. Now, what me see in the press release that even before the open investigation, it's become very clear say they will also include the former First Lady. So that approach they mean say you lead the evidence instead of the evidence they lead you, and you lead the evidence. And then do I'm back by this Chansky case, that they go as far back as 2011. You don't do that. On the first instance before you open investigation, you don't open investigation on the complaint before you, and actually they go they just they lead you. You call the former first lady and talk to her and say, nobody no need for no. And then you come out to see reports. You report now, they speak everything out and tell you, say, in fact, when we do all analysis, this is what we find out. But when you put them before you start the investigation.
So that's premeditation, they are
yes. So you make one man, they say, oh, but they're not complaining, man. Why they go put you man there? People at me, we are fighting corruption in a polarized society. That is what ACC should know. So the moment you make one error, people will just say, oh my God, this is not a clear investigation. That's why I'm helping them today to understand that the context in doing it is key. I know their heart, I know their mind say they want to do well, but the processes sometimes are flawed. Then quickly also on the issue of the constitution. ACC is not in the constitution. Then you are 2 for 4. Anytime tomorrow, government can not convenient ACC, then you forget them out. By legislation, it's easy for amend and pull all in power in hand. So therefore insulate the constitution. Then the appointment of the commissioner by the president. These are things also for discuss. People don't get time now. Now till then we wait for fight on me. They recommend say the commissioner not for be appointed by the president. If it be a call for application, all right, and the advice given on corruption go take on that process day and do the recruitment. Because you see, one for also take away politics from the whole fight. When we get the president still appoint the commissioner and the deputy commissioner, then politics will always loom large. Why if I appoint the deputy commissioner? I don't even understand that one day. Because deputy commissioner perhaps tomorrow go create problem for the commissioner.
So that's
and
all about the independence.
Yes, the independence and the political, freedom in terms of interference. That perception they go always there. So we have to move forward and see say the commission be insulated and be deprived from political interference and control. So no matter how you argue them, the fact that this thing still there in the legislature, so there's a problem even in the legislative, framework with money for reform. So now a big and a team perhaps for discuss going forward how we depoliticize the whole commission, all right, in the past and in the present. We have to fix it.
For now, it's politicized?
No, what they say, the perception, the fact that you get the appointing the commissioner and deputy commissioner, you cannot conclude that there is no room for political interference. All right, so let's fix it. There are many opportunities that we don't miss out in this 2019 amendment. If we don't cover that issue, then they'll all see how we for take away that kind of interference there. And even the removal, we all see how they will remove ADI. It's so weak. How do we now insulate the removal process in the constitution so that for the people, I see now how the president is struggle for pull even the Director General. It's because in protection they are the constitution. All right, so if you can find out government change, he might be removed easily. So we don't want that kind of situation who say where government change, you then pull you. No, if was strong for pull you because the constitution protects you.
You think that appointments where president they appoint the anti-corruption commissioner, they prevent her in any way for venture into some cases?
Yeah, so there is the possibility. It can be remote as possible, but there's a possibility because this man nine choose you, and a very powerful pull you back. So there is that possibility. So let's empower him.
Anything like that they don't happen, like cases and they way suspicion then from legal linguists because now the president they appoint the ACC boss and in deputy. Now that's made them not able to prosecute this kind of case. Yeah, well, so that a presumption. All right. So because we get that kind of framework there and it's so easy for be manipulated, we get a presumption there. Irrebuttable. So far, you don't do a lot of good things. Them I don't mention, right. But of course we see challenges now in the area, of course, of even investigations, all right, and how they prioritize investigations, timelines on investigations. Mm-hmm. This is very key because now public interest matters in the area, and even the rights saga and all of that. Many thanks to you, Lawyer Rashid Dumbuya. We not get time again, even the 5 minutes to the producer, and we almost don't go into Ramle. We just come over to Patrick Sandy.
Yes.
As they come for let you respond to quickly the concerns and what you raise, including the what we get for do with the Chinese saga.
Yes, I will come to that quickly. Yes. Let us just do something quickly. On the aspect of the appointment of the commissioner, my brother, the talk say, let us get it insulated. It's fine. It's left with the parliamentarians. But one point I also want to let me clear is that the appointment of the commissioner as it is now, therefore also go through the parliamentary approval. Let it not appear as if now only president they appoint. We have had instances in this country where parliament don't turn down a particular person where President Kaba they appoint. So that is the law as it is. So until it is changed. And let we know say parliament also as a body, we know say they checkmate a lot of things and they should be seen doing their work. Then on the aspect of we they go
leading the evidence in terms
exactly.
instead of the evidence leading to certain cases.
Well, we're not leading the evidence. The point we need to understand is when you are doing an investigation, Mabel, there should be a time frame. If an incident, listen.
You don't talk about time frame, and earlier they asked you about former President Nkrumah in investigation. You been say time frame and all the. Then now you they talk about where you did investigate.
Time frame within the context where the incident happened. I know they talk about time frame in regard when you do the investigation. Time frame of the allegation. For instance, if they say this person here don't thief money, when he be there in that office, you need for know.
But if they talk about the current person, then the ACC just directly go shoot right from the start. Say they left this for they go start from the back.
We know they shoot right from the back.
Not only they lead the evidence.
We are not leading the evidence at all. We are doing a comprehensive and holistic investigation. You know, they truncate them. If for any reason an issue don't come up, the aspect of, for instance, the Chancery building, when it starts, you could just say, now because this building, now in 2018, this administration don't come, they were supporting the funds, but they had started the construction in 2011. You go ignore that? Then how would your investigation look like when this thing don't start way from that period? So you therefore bring them in and deal with it holistically. Similarly with the aspect of the investigation, the probe on the office of the First Lady. They say if they receive money. If you probe, for heaven's sake, you go just want for look at the current First Lady. What has been the legal and regulatory framework? We all know your office
but
of the First Lady. So you therefore ignore them. That is even where the selectivity will come in. So you therefore do them holistically. When you do so, then you are doing a dispassionate work. And as such, now that we don't do before.
So as we wrap up the program now quickly, Mr. Sandy, I know say time not going to follow we discuss all things. Waiting at the status of the people that want to be investigated for the 2020 audit report.
We don't put out a media release. The investigations are on. Some institutions don't they pay. If not individuals, they don't.
But they don't pay so far.
No, we don't talk about Cambia District Council. Kwenadugu then pay to NRA. We also get the University of Anes by Nkrumah University, Jala University. They don't make them payments and in this, in fact, we don't able to recover a lot of funds where necessarily not even kind of the consolidated fund, but then they go directly to the institutions like NRA.
From the ACC, but the case we get for do with the rice saga, I say because there is a change now the Attorney General office now, and if now that one we been dead, they been still and not continue. Now when new one don't come, the ACC gets any plan for open a file the back.
Well, you see, we need to understand that when the ACC been withdraw the matter, so to speak, we say we know the need for that evidence. Now, before also come review all what we have, foresee what are the next steps. So that is where we are, and we will inform the public as to the next steps.
Review that.
The next steps. But again, let me make this point. Let me listen very clearly, very, very well. The fight against corruption, we all know agree, over the period, don't go successfully well.
Yeah.
It will be a circumstance of a forester. Yes, this one now be a serious debacle as an institution we face.
Yeah.
In the course of doing work. But then as a forester, if for any reason you get one tree, we don't go bad within the forest. I don't think say you go pay so much attention, leaving the other trees also to perish. That notwithstanding, as a commission, we believe say we still need to do so much for let the people of this country understand exactly what don't happen in regard.
And let us also add a little to what you say.
A lot of emphasis is being put on it.
Yes, and I want
we believe that the fight against corruption, irrespective of this, has also been doing very well.
And I'm happy we acknowledge say there are some one or two challenges, and that's the spirit. And I pray that the commission will take all this we have talked today in good faith and improve. They do well, and they are serving the nation in the best interest. So we pray say everything will go on well, and they will take all NTI in good faith, so that they go rise more and get more awards going forward.
Thanks, gentlemen,
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I want to really end on thanking the leadership of the ACC, the leadership of the country, the people of Sierra Leone, Parliament, and the CSO, even my brother here sitting with me, for the good work we do. We hope that we will improve on this and then do better as we go along.
All right, thank you, Nakana, this morning. Patrick Sandy, the talk from the ACC Anti-Corruption Commission, and also we get lawyer Rashid Dumbuya from Legal Link. Today we look at how the effects of corruption don't sound like inside 4 year as the BU administration go 4 year in office on the 4th of April this year.